Hello, it's Stephanie here. I've got two thoughts that I want to share today. You might not agree, but these are my thoughts though. And the first one is about obedience. I have been thinking about how strictly the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints teaches obedience. They teach it like it's, like what is more important than that? I don't think there's anything in the church that's more important than obedience. And I, however, have been having some different thoughts. I think that obedience is overrated, especially within the church. And in fact, the reason that, if we're still talking along the lines of church doctrine, the reason that any of us are here to speak about obedience is because Adam and Eve were disobedient in the Garden of Eden, right? They couldn't have children before that, so had they been obedient, then, well, nobody would be here at all. So I just think that there is something, come at me all you want, I guess, but I think there might even be something sacred about disobedience. Like, I'm thinking about when you're a teenager and you are about to leave the home and you have rebelled and you have been disobedient, and then you leave the home and you do maybe more things that are disobedient to what you were told, that are not how you were raised. And that's a form of disobedience, right? Like, I guess you don't have to obey your parents anymore at that point, or you never really do. Yeah, you do sometimes. Sometimes people are forced to obey, but then it's not real obedience. Anyway, so there's just something to be said, I think, about breaking away from what you've been told and finding truth on your own path, and I hesitate to even use like your own truth, because a lot of people will counter that or argue that with, well, there's one universal truth, and maybe that's true and maybe it's not, I don't know. But I just think that there's something important, like developmentally it's not the word I'm looking for, but essential to carving your own path. And that requires a level of disobedience. And I'm not saying that, we should disobey civil laws except when we should. And I'm not saying that we should disobey the law of the land, again, except when we should. And when we should, that depends on our inner beliefs that we have forged really ourselves. I think so. Because, well, no, I don't want to go on a path there, because I'll just tangent myself to oblivion. But yeah, so I've been thinking about obedience, and I think that it's very overrated. And I think that disobedience isn't the sin that the church assigns it to be. I think it's it's part of the human experience to be disobedient. And I think that instead of shaming it, it would be better for us to embrace it and teach how we learn, from experiences where we have been rebellious or just going off the beaten path, going off the company line. So yeah, that's one of my thoughts. And then my next thought is, I do have a lot of problems with the LDS Church, and the more that I learn, the more problems that I have with it, honestly. And some things have me just dropping my jaw, like, holy crap, he said what? We did what? And just a lot. And I'm sure that a lot of these things will come up later on this channel, but for now, I've been thinking about all the wonderful things that have happened because of my association with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I know that I would not be married to my husband without the church. Not only would we not have met, but I also would not have justified marrying him. I would have told him no. But in addition to that, I probably already would have been taken by the time he came along, because I wouldn't have been waiting or insisting that I date someone that is a member of the church. And so I just think he's the best. He's wonderful, and he's so good to me, and he's good for me in many ways, and I freaking love him. He's so amazing. And he's been very supportive of my religious or spiritual journey, and he's still in the church, but he's been really supportive of me, and he's always like so supportive of me, and he's just wonderful, and I'm so thankful that he's my husband. And I know that, I mean, I'm 99% sure that we would not be together if it was not for the church. And so there is that. And the church does have some teachings that I still align with and I still agree with, and I'm thankful for the upbringing that teaching about empathy and teaching about compassion that I had. Excuse me. And focusing on kindness, and a lot of times there was a focus on kindness. And so these are the things. I mean, there are things like that I just really appreciate. And also, when I was a single mom, I felt like I was extremely supported in the church. And I know that this is not everyone's story. I have spoken with many women who were single for a time, that they weren't allowed to have a calling when they were single. I mean, that's garbage. Like, that's terrible. But that was never my experience, thankfully. I had the best church experience as a single mom. I had so much support. I had so much help. I had people that would volunteer to take my kids to events that, have a father-daughter or father-son, whatever. People would help my son with the Pinewood Derby in Cub Scouts, which was great because I just had zero interest in all of that. And there were, but the people of the church have never been my issue. Never. Just the people of the church oftentimes are so good and pure and just eager to help. And that was my experience, especially as a single mom. And I'm so thankful for the church community that I had during that time. And so those are some things. Just, I recognize that while I do not agree with the church on many, many, many things, and even more so the more I learn, that I did benefit a great deal from my association with it. And I am very grateful. And so, yep, those are my thoughts. Bye.